My name is Boaz Menashe. I was born on the island of Rhodes, and my family all came from Rhodes. My older brother Isaac was also born in Rhodes, and my younger sister Lily was born in Rhodesia. Now my dad preceded us to Rhodesia. He came before I was born. In fact, he didn't even know that I was on the way. And he received a telegram to say that I was here before he received a letter from his wife, my mom, to tell her that to tell him that there was another baby coming. Anyway, at the age of 6 months, that's when we came to join him in Rhodesia.
What year was this?
In 1928. He started off as, I would say, 90% of the Sephardi Jews as an African trader, and he had a shop in Kwekwe opposite his brother who had come before him, and his brother had told him to come over anyway. And there was some bad blood between the two of them because of certain incidents that took place, and my folks moved away from Kwekwe to Salisbury, and that's where I lived until we left for Israel. As a youngster, I went to school in the kindergarten, to girls' high school it was, but that was the kindergarten. Then I went to Prince Edward Junior School, then to Prince Edward Senior School. And most of the time, it was fine. There was very little, or very, not very noticeable anti-Semitism. Every now and then somebody called you a bee Jew and all sorts of things like that, but basically there wasn't. And I went through the 5 years in the junior school and 5 years in senior school, and then I left and I became a printer, because basically there was a family, the Bennetters. They had a son who unfortunately was killed during the war, and he was a printer, and he said it was very good. So I had no intention of going to university, because both my brother and I thought my folks couldn't afford it. So we didn't even think about going to university. Anyway, I served my apprenticeship, and I worked there, carried on there, and I carried on for a little while at another place. And in the meantime, we had bought over a stationery shop that was originally owned by somebody else. And after about a year or two, we opened up the printing works ourselves. And I must say it was a very successful operation. And it was still going when I left to come to Israel.
Can we go back a step whilst you were growing?
Sorry?
Can we go back a bit?
Yeah.
To when you were growing up, your involvement in the Jewish community. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. Well, when Haponim was started in Salisbury, it was Mervyn Lasovsky was one of the prime movers, and we joined, my brother and I, and basically we were there till the war, and then of course it broke up because Mervyn and a few of the other Madrichim had gone off to the war. But when they came back, Mervyn started it up again, and we were there, boots and all. And so I was still in Habonim when we got married. Both of us were in Habonim, and we carried on for a while, and we still had very great interest in Habonim. My oldest son, carried on, and he became a Sagan Bakoach also in Salisbury.
So you met Monica in Habonim.
Monica was in Habonim too, yeah.
You met her.
No, we knew each other because Arthur and myself and my brother and quite a few others were friends. We lived near each other, maybe about 10 minutes walk away from each other. And we ran around in the same crowd mostly. So we knew each other. But she was always the little sister who was ignored. But
How many kids?
When you got into Habonim, she became a madrich, as I did, and it evolved. When we became a married couple in Habonim. We stayed on as a married couple in Habonim, running it for a while.
How many kids were in the movement at that time? Do you remember?
How many kids in the movement at that time?
Roughly. Would you say that a large majority of the Jewish kids were in Habonim?
There was only one youth movement in Salisbury at that time.
Right.
In fact, in Rhodesia.
Right.
And that was Habonim.
Right.
Beitar started much later, but up till then it was only Habonim. So I would say about 90% of the kids belonged to Habonim.
Right.
And I think they all had a pretty good time there. I remember we had a lot of outings, we had a lot of camps. We went to the Sussman's farm, to the Wernick's farm for weekend camps, very much enjoyed by everybody. So, as I say, from an early age I was involved in Jewish activities.
Right.
After Habonim and after we got married, before we got married we were both in Zionist youth. And then after marriage we joined the Zionist society. So up until the time we left, we were always involved in Jewish affairs. And as far as the community was concerned, I was a pretty regular shul goer, and but I never served on the committee until very late. I think the last couple of years I was there. And that's about it, I think.
Can you talk a little bit about the Sephardic Ashkenazi relationship and the?
Well, funnily enough, I was telling Gus about it yesterday when we were going to Blind Bold in Kiryat Ono, that my dad, as I said, ran an African trading store. He went to international agencies, which at that stage was run by Conrad Nathan, and he wanted to buy some stuff from him, and he refused to sell to my dad and told him to get out of his shop. So what could my dad do? He went. Anyway, that evening he went to see Monica's dad, because we both lived in Van Prague Avenue at that time. And he asked him, he says, why was he so rude to me? What did I do? And Monica's dad said, well, because you were Sephardi. That was Conrad Nathan. Apart from that, I don't think I felt any difference between any of the, because most of my friends, or well, in any case, were 90% Jewish, and we very seldom mixed with non-Jews socially. But there was Sephardi and Ashkenazi, and there was very little difference between any of us.
And your decision to come to Israel?
We had always wanted to come to Israel because, as I say, from a young age we were both involved in Zionist societies. And when the Africans took over, we decided it was a good enough time to leave. We didn't want to live under an African government. That was plain and simple. So we decided that was it. And we would go, and we would never look back and never think of what we had before. It was just a final stage, and that was it. And I must say, Monica was much more positive than I was. She was very, very, very happy to go and very, very happy to stay and to be here.
And for you, looking back?
Looking back, I think we had a fairly easy time here, I must say. We never really found it hard. We both had to work. We knew we would have to work. But apart from the fact that Albie didn't come with us and that Karen left to go, we were quite happy here, and we still are. Unfortunately, Monica passed away some nearly 6 years ago now, but look, we came and we're here. That's it.
Happy?
Happy.
Okay.